Alright, man, YouTube was good. D Soon is back with another video. Before I begin the video, y'all already know I gotta do my promo. Listen, we got a few of these hats left. It's the Garden State NJ hat, trucker hat. We got a few of these Johns left. We got about a couple. So if you're looking to cop, please feel free to comment. The website is fully up. The website will be in the descriptions. Comment. Let me know if y'all looking to cop. And one last thing before we begin the video, we have the bucket hats as well too. It's an exclusive drop. I haven't really been pushing it, but it's only exclusively here on the YouTube channel. So again, if you guys are looking to buy, you guys are interested in wanting to cop, feel free to comment, let me know. Also, there's the signature on the bottom as well too, from yours truly. Let's get right to the video. Good story time, right? So get your popcorns, get something to eat. We're gonna get right to the story. Before I begin, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we're gonna get right to the video. So as y'all can see in the vid, we're gonna talk about the time she didn't tell me she did. She had a back page. Alright, so where do I begin? So this all started when I first, this all started when I was about in my early, I would say late teens, early 20s, right? So I think I was 19 at the time, 19, 20 years old. So I met this girl at one of my first jobs I ever had. So I used to work at Dollar Tree. So for those that aren't familiar with Dollar Tree is clearly a dollar store that's all over throughout the United States. A very popular convenience store. It's a convenience store. Very popular store. See, Dollar Tree to me is like equivalent to the corner store for me. You know what I'm saying? There was one point in time I used to go to the corner store as a jit. And once I was able to start driving and get my V, them days was over. So anytime I see a Dollar Tree around the neighborhood, I'm always in there. I might pick up a few things here and there and go about my business. So, as I said before, it was one of my first jobs that I had. I used to work, my first official job was a nursing home, but my mother, she was able to get me that gig. It was like a summer job. This is when I was working in the city, right, in New York. But anyway, enough of that. So, Dollar Tree happened to be one of the first jobs that I was able to get on my own, right? So it was like my first gig. So I started working there. It was cool, you know what I'm saying? It was a cool little paycheck, mind you. Back then, it was minimum wage, so you can only imagine how much I was getting paid an hour. Mind you, I'm in Jersey at the time, so you already know minimum wage was like $7 at the time. $7.70, $7.20, $7.50, whatever, right? So I worked there, I'm doing my thing. So one of the managers who happened to be my homegirl, who I was super cool with, she was able to employ one of her homegirls to the job, right? We're gonna call her Mrs. S. We're gonna call her Mrs. S, right? So my assistant manager, who happened to be my homegirl, she hired her homegirl, who was Mrs. S. So Mrs. S happens to be on staff. So at that time, I was a cashier. I was pretty much every position at the job. I was working in the cashier. I was in the stock room. I was on the floor. You name it. I was basically employee of the month. I was hustling, doing my thing. You know, staying out of trouble, handling my business. So Mrs. S happens to get on the job. She's employed, right? And Mrs. S is telling we're going to say Mrs. S and Mrs. Q. We're going to call them that. So Mrs. Q is my homegirl, right, who was my manager. She was my assistant manager. And then Mrs. S and Mrs. Q are close friends at the time. They're cool. So Mrs. S tells Mrs. Q that, you know what I'm saying, she's older. We're probably like about maybe 3-4 years old. We're probably about 3-4 years apart from each other. So mind you, if I'm in high school, she's probably like an upperclassman, senior, junior. It's not really much of a difference when we're in the world, when we are in the real world, right? So Mrs. S is telling Mrs. Q that she finds me attractive. You know how it goes when you're working in these type of little gigs, these type of jobs. You guys tend to get around each other after you guys get acclimated with one another. You guys see each other often, talk. Things is gonna slowly but surely gonna grow over time, right? Mind you, I had this gig for like a year. There's never been a job that I ever had that I worked over that I worked more than a year, except for the substitute job. But I didn't count that as a job. It was more so I had flexibility to do what I had to do. You kind of in a way your own self-contractor. You kind of work on your own schedule. You could pick and choose what days you want to work, whenever you want to work, and you get paid weekly. So anywho, Mrs. S. Mrs. S, Mrs. Q, and me, we all vibe out, we all cool out. Now, mind you, we all live in the same town, you know what I'm saying? So, Mrs. S doesn't live too far from the job. So she probably lives within walking distance from the job. Me, I probably live like a cool maybe 7 minutes from the job. Mrs. Q, she lives like close to down. She used to, I don't know now, but at that time, she lived like close to downtown, so she lived like maybe I say about 7 minutes. So we all kind of close within proximity, right? So fast forward, Mrs. S, she be low key. So let me put this out there. She's very bougie, very bougie, which is, I don't have a problem with bougie people, but you got to be realistic with how you are bougie, right? So she's one of them type of women that thinks very highly of herself, which is, I'm all for that, because I think very highly of myself too. So I think everybody should feel very highly of themselves. So she used to think very highly of herself, very selective with who she has dealings with, as she portrayed to be. And, she would talk a lot of shit. Not to me though, but to people. Like, if any nigga that wanted to get close to her, he had to come correct. And mind you, I would say she was a privileged individual, because she ended up going to a all-girls school, which I didn't even know at the time, until she told me later on when we started talking or whatever. So I would joke with her, make jokes. We make jokes with each other, like little flirtatious shit, but nothing too crazy. I'm naturally a flirt, but that's just me being who I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm a gentleman, I'm a ladies' man, all that, whatever. So there happened to be one time she was joking about going to the movies. So Mrs. Q was trying to tell Mrs. S, no, we're not having none of that. I don't want you to play with him like that, referring to me. So ain't nobody gonna be playing with me unless I allow myself to get played. That's first and foremost, right? So she was saying that, whatever, right? So, long story short, we talk, we communicate, we keep it cool and cordial. But I could tell that at first she was trying to play it off, like play hard to get, as every female do. But then after a while, they do that to see you really gonna engage into their shit, which I never do. But it's all a game. We already knew that there was a liking amongst each other, but I never wanted anything serious anyway. So, later down the line, she eventually left the job. I think she left and got a better opportunity, but we still kept in touch. Now, I remember I had, we kept in touch. Now, prior to that, her, for whatever reason, I don't know what happened, but I think Q and S had a fallout, right? They fell out. I don't know what happened with their relationship, but they fell out. They no longer cool with each other. And mind you, Mrs. Q was the one that got Mrs. S the gig, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, they fell out. But me and Mrs. S were still in communication. We still talk every now and then just to check up on each other and shit. Just talk. So, my fault. So I remember when they had fell out, Mrs. Q wanted to tell me certain things about Mrs. S. right? So that's when she kind of opened up and said she used to do back page and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, mind you, I don't care, right? Because I'm not taking Mrs. S serious. I'm just keeping it cool, platonic. You know, I just do me, as I always do. I'll just keep it cool and just analyze everything. Just vibe out. I'm not really looking for anything serious. But when she told me that, it didn't register me at first when Mrs. S told me, Mrs. Q told me about Mrs. S doing back page and all that. Now, mind you, this is before OnlyFans, all that. So I never brought it up to her when me and her talk because I think that's kind of out of pocket and it's none of my business. So I remember we used to talk, me and Mrs. S, when I was away at college. I had went away to college at the time. Yeah, I went away to college at the time. I don't even know how we still ended up communicating, but me being me, I might not speak to you for an extended period of time, and I might just randomly hit you up. If you happen to be a number that I say, because I don't save numbers, just make that clear. So I remember I hit her up, you know what I'm saying? We started talking, flirting, and all that. So it never went anywhere because I didn't really want anything to do with her after I found out her doing the back page. It kind of threw me off in a way. And I don't want to get too explicit because that's not for YouTube. So I'm not going to go into details of certain things that I've seen or whatever, but neither here nor there. The reason why I had mentioned this little story was because she kind of portrayed herself to be something that she tried to put herself in a certain light that would make certain people look at her in a certain way, like in a respectable way. But in hindsight, that's not how she kind of lived up to, if that makes any sense. So what I'm saying is that you see how nowadays we're in an era where people are selling ads to get to the cash, and it's just the value of just having some type of value of who you are is kind of diminishing. But then again, it all correlates to who you are as a person. And again, I'm not here to talk shit or downplay anybody because you never know what people are going through. But I just thought that was like a huge learning lesson of we all shit. We all shit, and you know what I'm saying? We all shit. We all do what we do, but nobody's never less than the next person, if that's what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to say she was doing that, but she was doing that, if you could read between the lines. So anywho, that was pretty much a light summary story of that situation. I don't know where she's at. I don't have any relationships with her. But it was just an interesting, funny story for me to tell y'all. And mind you, I was like 19, 20 at the time. So I think she was like in her mid-20s. Like I said before, was age, what's in mid-20s? I say early to mid-20s at the time. Yeah, early to mid-20s. But, and also another thing too, women cannot be friends. Like, it's very, not saying that can never happen, but it's very, you gotta really be synced. And when I mean by that, y'all gotta be like super sick. I just think nowadays when people fall out with one another, especially women, they're so quick to air each other out on who does who first. Now mind you, Mrs. Q never went out on social media because she's not into that, or airing Mrs. S's shit out. But she was just telling me, because I guess she seen me and her was talking, but not like that. You know what I'm saying? She was just warning me. So giving me a warning, a heads up or whatever. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoy this little soon story time. I'm gonna drop another video for you guys. That's it. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure you get the likes up, comment. Let me know what y'all think about this. You know what I'm saying? Is Backpage still a thing? Because I know OnlyFans took over, but this is not for me. I'm just asking just to spark conversations in the chat. But anywho, make sure you guys check out the video of this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Also, again, as y'all seen in the beginning of the video, we still have hats and bucket hats to sell. So feel free to come and let me know what y'all looking to cop. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. Y'all be easy. Deuces. These songs out.